that meeting. That again, I apologize. I'm sure the HOD is also having network glitches. Now, let's move to the spirit of the event. It is my honor and privilege to introduce the moderator for today's symposium, Professor Aderemi Raji Oyelade. Professor Raji Oyelade is one of Nigeria's foremost literary scholars, critics, and poets whose contributions to African literature, cultural studies, and creative writing have earned him immense respect within and beyond the academy. A distinguished professor in the Department of English, University of Ibadan, he has consistently demonstrated excellence in scholarship, mentorship, and intellectual leadership. As a scholar and creative writer, Professor Raji Oyelade's works continue to enrich conversations on African literature, identity, language, and culture. His long-standing commitment to literary studies and critical engagement makes him especially suited to moderate today's symposium in honor of the late Professor Biodun Jeyifo, whose intellectual legacy we celebrate today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming our moderator, Professor Aderemi Raji Oyelade.
Thank you very much, Kehinde. Let me quickly appreciate ourselves, our own department, the Department of Professor Biodun Jeyifo, Department of English, Faculty of Arts, University of Ibadan, the organizer of this program, all members of the team that made this possible, a celebration of a life that is very exemplary, exceptional, and impactful. So, and equally, we have two speakers for today's symposium who will help in furthering, honoring Professor Biodun Jeyifo. But before I introduce them, I like to, I've just shared in the chat box a poem which Professor Jeyifo wrote on December 21, 2025, just about just a month and some days before his final departure from Mother Earth. But this poem is also a form very premonitionary, a poem that is dedicated to his grandchildren. And of course, it's very instructive if we know that he was one of those scholars who left the shores of this country at the height of the military dictatorship and also just at the inception of high inflation in the country. So I have referred to this poem as BJ's last flight. That was his last flight back home. So if you have it, I'll just read through and then introduce our speakers for today. BJ wrote on December 21, 2025, I have lost count, but I am fussless about it. My first transatlantic flight, summer of 1969, Lagos to London. Uncountable flights since then. But this flight is different because I am flying home. So my 80th year on earth will find me where I am, most at home on the planet. This flight is thus like my first flight, but in the other direction. Efufulele, gbemidele o, efufulele, gbemidele o. Ye winds bear me safely home. Love here, Lola, and Dara, Grandpa BJ. I think this poem touches a lot about the life and impactful story of Professor Biodun Jeyifo. And to help us to speak about him is Professor Chris Piwuna, the president of the Association of the Association of Staff of Nigerian University, ASU, professor of psychiatry medicine, University of Jos. Professor Piwuna is a very seasoned activist and also a highly respected scholar. He was the National Internal Auditor of ASU during Professor Biodun Ogunyemi's tenure, 2016 to 2021. Professor Piwuna was vice president from 2021 to 2025 under Professor Shudeke. And now, by May 2025, is the current president of ASU. So I'd like to welcome my president, Professor Chris Piwuna. Thank you for all that you do. And thank you for being here to celebrate Professor Biodun Jeyifo, the first democratically elected president of ASU, who came in, I think, in the early 1980s. Joining Professor Piwuna in this symposium is my brother, Professor Gbemisola Remi Adeoti, who obtained his BA Dramatic Arts in 1989, MA in 1995 from OAU, and then came home for his PhD at Ibadan in 2003. Professor Adeoti was, and I think he still is, journalist, a poet, scholar, actor, mentor, and fellow of several organizations, including the British Academy, the African Humanities Program, and fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Letters. We have very seasoned scholars among us today, and it is my pleasure to introduce Professor Chris Piwuna, as well as Professor Gbemisola Remi Adeoti, GRA. Thank you very much. So here I call upon my president, Professor Piwuna, to take the stage. Thank you. Is
Who will soon join us again. He was on the platform before he left, but I called him and he will soon join us again. Thank you, sir.
Like morning fire across the sky, from Soyinka's pages to the workers' song. You showed us where the brave belong. BJ, the road goes on. Your voice remains, though you are gone. He taught the imprisoned that thought can fly, that Fanon still speaks, that Baldwin asked why. Kebro, Mandela, Chavez cry. He placed their thunder in captive minds. To students, scholars, comrades, friends, he gave a road that never ends. A mentor's grace, a critic's fire. A life of labor, a mind of higher desire. DJ, the lamp still burns in every mind that reads and learns. BJ, your words still rise like morning fire across the skies. From Soyinka's pages to the workers' song, you showed us where the brave belong. BJ, the road goes on. Your voice remains, though you are gone. BJ, the lamp still burns, the page still speaks, the wheel still turns. BJ, the struggle sings in classrooms, columns, and gathering wings. Ibadan gave you, the world received. You taught us how to think, to fight, to believe. BJ, rest in power, rest in dawn. Your voice remains, your word we change. Sleep well, great teacher, critic of empire, keeper of flame.
This song is for Biodun Jeyifo. We celebrate you because your light still burns.
From Ibadan's morning, where the bright minds rose, a child of books and questions chose the path he knows. Through classrooms, stages, pages, worlds beyond the sea, he carried truth like fire and taught the mind to be free. First class light from Ibadan's gate, he crossed the waters, but he did not separate his heart from home, his voice from the streets, his pen from the people, his courage from heat. He read the world with a scholar's eye, yet heard the poor when they whispered why. He stood where justice and learning meet, with the people's struggle beneath his feet. BJ, the lamp still burns in every mind that reads and learns. BJ, your words still rise like morning fire across the skies. From Soyinka's pages to the workers' song, you showed us where the brave belong. BJ, the road goes on, your voice remains though you are gone. Atife stood when silence was sold, a teacher of courage, fearless and bold. When power asked, what are you teaching here? He answered with books that made tyrants fear. Achebezeke Soyinka's flame, the wounds of a nation he called by name. Not only theory, not only art, but the people's hunger, the nation's heart. He taught that culture is never still, that power can wound but thought can heal. He held the mirror before the age and turned the classroom into a stage. DJ, the lamp still burns in every mind that reads and learns. BJ, your words still rise like morning fire across the sky. From Soyinka's pages to the workers' song, you showed us where the brave belong. BJ, the road goes on, your voice remains though you are gone. Cornell heard him, Harvard knew, Berlin, Beijing, the whole world too. Yet through the whole
Okay. Good evening, comrades. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, comrade. Good evening, comrade president.
Good evening, current president.
Good
How are you,
evening.
sir?
Good evening. Yeah.
Okay, comrade, you can go on and speak now. Let's see
Okay.
whether others will hear you. You are welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. And I would like to thank our colleagues in the Department of English for organizing this event. in honor of our past president, Comrade Biodun Jeyifo. We're truly grateful to the organizers because Comrade Jeyifo has been a reference point for us in the union, not just because of his pioneering role as president of the union, but as we face current challenges as academics, as Nigerians, as human beings, we are reminded of his commitment, his vision, and dedication to emancipating not just the academics, but Nigerians as a whole. Most of the issues that we confront today as a union were issues that he had talked about over and over and over again. And until he gave up, he never relented in speaking the truth at all times. And he's one person that has truly used his intellect to change the society, to change the community, and indeed change the world, because Comrade Jeyifo was not just a Nigerian product, he was a product of the world. I'm aware with pride that even in the New York State University where he studied, he is the third in the history of that university to have bagged a first class. And so whether it is in Ibadan, in Ife, or in New York or other places that he taught and visited, he was the kind of Nigerian that all of us would want to be associated. I think it was Dr. Ogumbi that, described him as, like an unrepentant person who is always getting into unrepentant troublemaker. Even when they tried to do his chores for him in Ibadan High School so that he would escape the punishment of the housemaster, Biodun Jeyifo did not attend the inspection by the housemaster, so he still had to be beaten, for that. But the point I'm trying to make is that the kind of streak that he was made of is one that we should all, imbibe to ensure that we deliver our country. The Talakawas, all of us have become Talakawas now. So we need to deliver ourselves from the clutches of the ruling class. Thank you very much. And we truly appreciate on behalf of the union, we appreciate this effort. Solidarity forever.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Piuna, President ASU. Thank you for your very wonderful reflection, kind words about Professor Biodun Jeyifo, our own master strategist, political activist, and Bamako Jaji. Now, I'd like to call on GRA, Professor Gwimsola Remi Adeoti, for his own intervention. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. I want to sincerely appreciate Professor Remiraji, our mentor, our leader. I also want to thank the Department of English, especially Professor Lamidi, for the opportunity given me. I hope you are hearing me.
Yes.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, please go on.
Okay. Okay. I thank the Department of English for the opportunity given me to be part of this symposium in honor of a great scholar and a great literary critic. I got to know Professor Biodun Jeyifo when I was an undergraduate at the University of Ife, which later became Obafemi Awolowo University. At that time, he, along with Professor Fashina, Gigi Dara, were regular faces in our symposia organized by the Students' Union or the Association of Campus Journalists. And unmistakably, he was always on the side of the students, on the side of the oppressed. But I got to know him better in 1987, 86, 87 session when we started the Ife literary series, which featured students and then lecturers who will come together once in a week to read their works. One thing that struck me with Professor Jeyifo was that the way he would respond to poems or stories written by students, it would be as if he was analyzing the works of, Soyinka, Achebe, and so on. And I mean, you could see the simplicity, the accessibility, and lucidity in his expression then. So, but in the classroom, our first encounter with him was through his seminar book, The Truthful Lie, Essays in Sociology of African Drama, which was a collection of his essays, and all of them approached from the standpoint of Marxist literary criticism, so that you could see the radical image nurtured from childhood, from when he was in school. You could see this reflected in his approach to literary criticism. Of course, there have been other earlier critics of African literature, the Ogumbas, the Dan Izebayes, but his own approach, coming from the consistently Marxist viewpoint, stands out, and there was no way any student of literature or drama, wouldn't see something different, something radical in his own approach, especially approaching the text from a literary perspective. So he is one scholar that has contributed to literary criticism in Africa. Another seminar work was a product phenomenon of traveling theater in Yoruba land, as at that time there were over 100 of them. Hello?
Hello, Jerry.
Hello?
Hello, are you back? There was a...
Yeah.
Okay, please,
Yeah.
you can
Okay.
take it again. Thank you.
Yeah. As I was saying, he got a grant in 1982 to study the phenomenon of the traveling theater, which was the in thing in Yoruba land then, in terms of cultural propagation and entertainment. That research produced the popular work by popular demand, the Yoruba traveling theater. In this particular work, you will not only see a critic, but a painstaking teacher who, presents his subject in a manner that the reader will have a deep understanding of each of the troops, their common subjects, where they derive their sources, the business aspect of the traveling theater, the itinerary, the plays produced, and the peculiarities of individual theater groups, from Ogunde to Olaiya, from Lere Paimo to Baba Miro, and so on and so forth. So that any students of African theater that come across this text will come out with a deep understanding of this phenomenon. But that's not all. If there is any critic who has engaged Wole Soyinka's work in depth, Biodun Jeyifo stands out among them. And he benefited from, the proximity, the closeness to Wole Soyinka in terms of, being a student of Soyinka and also a colleague later. The interesting thing is that his ideological, perspective, just like other Marxists like Femi Osofison, Gigi Dara, is something that Wole Soyinka himself sometimes come out to oppose, as they accuse his work of not being on the side of the oppressed, or not having the desirable class perspective. One is able to encounter, the dialogue between this Soyinka and his critic, even in a work that Biodun Jeyifo himself edited, titled Art, Dialogue, and Outrage. Art, Dialogue, and Outrage is a collection of essays on different occasions by Wole Soyinka, including Soyinka's inaugural lecture, which he delivered in 1980, titled The Critic and Society, Barthes, Leptocracy, and Other Mythologies. You also have an essay like Who's Afraid of Election, in which Wole Soyinka painstakingly, responds to critics like Biodun Jeyifo. Apart from this, there's also Wole Soyinka, Politics, Poetics, and Post-Colonialism, which was an award-winning text extraying the writings of Soyinka from the biography to poetry, from his novels to his interventions. Of course, he also has several other essays, on Wole Soyinka. And if there's any critic at all who also had contributed to the post-colonial thought in Africa as they reflect in their literature, Biodun Jeyifo has also done much in that regard, as much as Edward Said, Gayatri Spivak, Homi Baba, Henry Wigate, and other famous critics. So, for many years to come, there's no way we will talk of literary criticism in Africa and African American literature without reckoning with the astounding contributions of Professor Biodun Jeyifo. Thank you very much for the opportunity given me once again.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello.
Thank you very much, Professor Gbemisola Remi Adeoti. Thank you for giving us a refreshing reflection on the contribution of Professor Biodun Jeyifo to African and global scholarship of African literature. It was good that you made reference to the truthful lie, which many modern day scholars rarely even reference or even know that existed. BJ's foray into the criticism of African drama from a sociological point of view. That work was published in 1985. And then his award-winning book, Wole Soyinka, Politics, Poetics, and Post-Colonialism is also very instructive. In the words of his long-time lifetime friend, Oshofiso, BJ is said to be unarguably one of the three foremost literary scholars in the field of writing and literature who have worked on the Soyinka's oeuvre of literary productions. Was a major and a leading authority. In fact, maybe next to probably Edwin Maduagu and maybe one other scholar. Biodun Jeyifo is well known for that. And it's good that we are celebrating his scholarship, his humanity, his ideology, and his discipline as a political activist, somebody who is committed to human progress and excellence. So at this point, I think we have very distinguished members of the audience here. I can see so many names. Instead of pointing out the names, I would like to know if we have interventions from other people who are present here, not just within the Department of English, but also to appreciate other colleagues from the University of Ibadan, from within the Faculty of Arts, in America, in Canada, other parts of the world, Europe. I can see names of some of our colleagues and students who have now become colleagues. So if you have comments or you also want to say one or two things, please let us know about Professor Biodun Jeyifo. So please, you can, if you let me see your electronic hand up, or you can just hint by sending some notes on the chat box. To be good to have your comment also. Thank you so much that we're here. And thank you also for your patience. This is part of the struggle that we speak about in order for Nigeria to be in the Committee of First World Nations. We were to start at 4, but we didn't start until 4:30, not because we are absent or we're late, but because technology is playing a very fast and slow one on us. So do we have comments from the House? Once again, I'd like to thank the ASU President, Professor Piwuna, for his contribution. Otherwise, I'm going to ask Professor Odebumi or the HOD or Dr. Kende Oyetimi, Dr. Ade Labu, if you have comments before we have vote of thanks. Well, I must recognize the presence of my chairman, my own president at local ASU, Dr. Adefemi Afolabi. I can see Adefemi Afolabi here. Thank you for staying strong, for staying in. If you want to, you also want to comment, please, you have the floor, Mr. Chairman. And at a point, I think I also saw my IP, my immediate past chairman, Professor Ayo Akinwole, sometime. I don't know whether he's still in the house. So do we have comments?
I am in the house, Prof, but I'm on a trip. I'm in a bus. So there may be issues with reception of whatever I say, but I'm with you all through.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you very much for putting it up for our past president. We appreciate it, and we do not take this for granted. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, IP. Comrade Chair, thank you.
Prof, may I make some comments?
Okay, my HOD, Professor Tayo Lamidi.
Thank you, sir. Invited guest speakers, Comrade President Chris Puruna, Professor Bimisola Adeoti, distinguished members of the academic community, students are all gathered here today. Well, I'm sorry that I have to say this just now. The technology had locked me out several times, and I keep on struggling to come back. So, but permit me to say a few words about the late Professor Biodun Jeyifo. Here we come to celebrate the life of Professor Biodun Jeyifo, critic, scholar, playwright, cultural theorist, activist, and one of Nigeria's most formidable intellectual voices. Professor Jeyifo, affectionately called BJ, was a towering figure in African and post-colonial literary studies. His scholarship spanned African grammar. I think Professor Adeoti has said so much about this, Anglophone literature, and the politics of culture, but his influence reached far beyond the pages of books. He believed that literature is not separate from life, that criticism must engage power, and that the intellectual has a responsibility to the public sphere. At Harvard, Cornell, and in Nigeria, he mentored generations of students and scholars with a blend of rigor, wit, and unflinching honesty. His lectures were events, incisive, provocative, and always grounded in a deep reading of text and context. He challenged lazy consensus and demanded that we think harder, write cleaner, and act with integrity. Beyond the academy, Professor Jeyifo was a public intellectual who used his voice in the struggle for democracy, human rights, and social justice in Nigeria. He believed that ideas should move from the seminar room into the streets, and he lived that conviction. To many young writers and activists, it was proof that scholarship and citizenship are not mutually exclusive. To his family, he was a husband, father, and kinsman whose brilliance was matched by warmth and loyalty. To his colleagues, he was a fearless interlocutor who sharpened arguments through debates, never malice. To his students, he was a demanding but devoted mentor who saw potential and refused to let it go unfulfilled. So this evening symposium is just to serve as a mark of honor to this great man of many parts. I want to thank the invited guests as well as our own Mogaji, Professor Aderemi Rajo-Eladi, for contributing to this to this symposium. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, HOD. Thank you very much for your words. If we have others who would like to make contributions, so please let me know. I'm trying as much as possible to find out who is in the house and who is willing to speak. Thank you very much. Yeah, Chukwudi Egbara said he was a great scholar and distinguished leader. Thank you, Chukwudi. Chukwudi was once a master's student in our Department of English at Ibadan. Thank you, Chukwudi. So do we have comments? Any interventions? Some people do not know that when the Department of English was founded as one of the, actually not one of, the first Department of English in the first university in Nigeria, and the history of first class, Biodun Jeyifo was the third to earn the first class in the Department of English. I think that is very historical, that's very important. Professor Akinwole, my immediate past chairman of ASU Ibadan, said he's been on the platform since 2 minutes after 4 and is still here. Yes, thank you very much, sir. Thanks to the Department of English, UI, and the organizers for putting this together in remembrance of BJ. Thank you so much. So this message goes to Professor Lamidi and the Department of English. Yes, let's have more comments. If in case I can speak for you, I can be your ventriloquist, but you have to pay for that. James Akiola, long time, he said, I never got to know him in person, but his impact is felt. Writers, scholars don't die. Their impact is almost forever. Their impact is in you who is still alive. So thank you for that, James. Any other comments? In writing or in speech? It's welcome. Is Dr. Yetimi close by? Dr. Yetimi?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, so what's the next thing? Because it seems that I have to go and find out.
Thank you very much, Prof.
What do you say?
Thank you, sir. At this juncture, I would like to invite the chairman of the organizing committee, Dr. Kazim Adebiya Adelagu, to give a vote of thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Before I proceed to give the vote of thanks, I just like to apologize for the glitches that we had at the beginning of the program, even though we could attribute it to weather, but I think we should just take responsibility for that. Yes, first of all, we want to give glory to God for making this occasion possible. On behalf of the Department of English, I'd like to specially thank Professor Chris Piwuna, the ASU National President, and distinguished scholar. We like to thank you for making out time, despite your busy schedule, to be part of this event. And of course, we also like to thank Professor Gbemisola Adeoti, who also, despite his busy schedules, was able to make out time also to be part of this event. And of course, we have to thank our own father and mentor, Professor Raji Oyedale, for accepting to be the moderator and for handling it very excellently. And of course, our thanks also go to the Dean of Arts, Professor Aru Olaniyi. We thank you for your support. We reckon that there are scholars from all over the world who have chosen to sacrifice other things to be part of this event. We deeply appreciate your time. We thank you profusely for being part of this event. And of course, the same goes for lecturers within Nigeria who have also chosen to be part of us today. Our students, some of our students who have also chosen to be part of this event, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, generally, we appreciate your investment over time. We also appreciate the investment of intellection by the speakers. And as we round off the program, we wish you, a very, a very fulfilling evening. And have a restful night wherever you are, even though some of us, of course, may not be in the evening time, wherever we are. We just thank you. Let me put it that way. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me thank the person who is thanking all of us, and to thank all those who have contributed, even in writing. Chukudi, my apologies. You are back in the department as a PhD student, so you are welcome. James Akinola, thank you. Thank you for your strategic support. Dari Timothy said BJ was an exemplary scholar whose impact has changed lives positively. Uchenna Eze said that Professor BJ defined literary scholarship and criticism and will be sorely missed. God rest his soul. Deborah Ajibola is thanking the organizers as well as mentors. And Chima of our department also said that Professor Biodun Jeyifo's critical intervention really inspired me during my undergraduate days. And Kola Olisaliu noted that the entire world shall continue to celebrate BJ for his scholarship, his mentorship, and integrity. He was an academic giant, not only in Nigeria, but across the globe. And then Oluwatosin Adeniyi submitted that he trained as an economist, but Professor BJ has shaped his frame of thinking in significant ways over the years, appreciating also the organizers for celebrating this icon in this manner. Adeleke Babatunde said, wonderful tribute to a fantastic scholar. Many thanks to the organizers of this program. He sees all his bosses here and so on. Salute. Professor Agoru is thanking all of the speakers, all of the writers on behalf of all of us. She simply wrote, thank you very much. And Karima Dalahatu Shehu said, thank you, distinguished professors. Today I got to know and hear about the impact Professor BJ contributed, and I will conduct research and get to know him better. That will be splendid. At least we have a pilgrim who is getting to know more about BJ. That is good. And Ayo Chisonwo, Professor Chisonwo said, BJ's voice lives forever. Chukudi again thanks all of us as we thank everyone on behalf of the Department of English. Thank you, everyone. Good night and have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. God be with all of us.
Thank you all. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Writing for justice across the land, against the predators loud and clear. He gave the voiceless words to hear. BJ. to the workers' song. You showed us where the brave belong. BJ, the road goes on. Your